Tired of feeling like you're spinning all the plates in your design business and at any moment they could all come crashing down? Are you feeling like you're so close to breaking through to the next level, but those consistent projects still aren't flowing your way? Are you ready to finally take your business from a hobby to 100K and beyond? Then welcome to the Six Figure Designer Podcast. I'm talking all the techniques you need in your design business to start paying yourself, get great clients, and finally break through that 5-figure ceiling. Well, hey everyone, I'm Pam Durkin. I'm the closing coach for interior designer. Thanks for joining me today again on another episode. So you may wonder, why am I called the closing coach? And, you know, I routinely close opportunities really quickly in my business. And today I wanted to talk a little more about that, specifically a situation that happened last week where I closed a 5-figure design fee in 5 days. And I thought it might be helpful to kind of talk through that process with you guys today and also let you know that I am going to be having a workshop this December 5th, so in just a few weeks, and it's on how to close a 5-figure design fee in 5 days. So on the 5th, doing 5 figures in 5 days. I didn't even know I did that. So 555, lucky 5. So if you want to be there, be sure to sign up with the link that I have in the show notes. And one of the first things I want to say is I could not close clients this fast if I didn't have these two crucial things in place for my business. One is a great referral network. I have been cultivating that referral network for a very long time, but if you start working that, it will pay off pretty quickly for you. And then the other thing that is crucial to have is a great qualifying process. And I know that that is not something that most of you have in your business, or maybe you have it, but you just have never written it down, created a process for that. And that is how you start to get better and better at qualifying people when you follow the same process over and over again, because then you start to see patterns and you start to hear certain words, and there's certain things that start to layer what happens when you start to get those. You say to yourself, yes, 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 or no, 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 as this client or potential client is talking to you. So I also want to remind you about my Luxury Client Academy, which is my 9-month coaching experience, where this is where I help you triple your profits with measurable results. We're tracking your process and progress throughout the entire program. And one of the crucial parts of this program is creating this amazing referral network, this machine that sends referrals your way over and over again, and also puts together the qualifying process that you will use in your business over and over again. So I teach you how to find and grow that great referral network and then to close those clients quickly and easily once you have an opportunity to get in front of someone. So if you want to learn more about that, check the information in the show notes. And also, if you want to get in on the December 5th workshop, check the show notes as well. So today I want you to be thinking about your process from the time a potential client makes an inquiry, either on your website or a phone call, or maybe they come to you, through a vendor partner. What is the process that you have, and what's the timing generally from that initial contact until you are awarded the project? So how many steps is in that process? Is it just one step where it's basically like you answer the phone and you just start working and then you hope that you get the project? Do you have several parts of your qualifying process? Do you have a series of questions that you ask? that, obviously gives you more information about whether or not this could be a good fit for you. So, I want to say that I'm a firm believer in qualifying a project over several conversations. If a potential client fills out a form on your site and the budget isn't what you want to work in, do you automatically tell them you're not a good fit, or maybe you don't call them back, or maybe you have your assistant email them and just say, we're not a good fit? I'm going to tell you that I have had so many times where a client has come to me with either no idea budget or a small budget that then morphed into a much different animal, a much bigger project, something of major significance. So I'm not a huge fan of qualifying or disqualifying someone based on budget alone, because a lot of times they just don't know what they don't know. So here's the other side of that. If clients are coming to you and not knowing or understanding what their budget is, this could be a great introductory service offering for your business. You could, for a flat fee, help them figure out what the budget is. And this could be a way for you to get to know clients a little bit better in a very small container. So think about that as well. So to get back to it, I just signed a client to a 5-figure design fee in 5 days. So from the first contact that they had with me, which was through my website, to getting a check in hand was 5 days. Now, if you could shorten the time frame from that first inquiry to being awarded a project, I bet you do it, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to talk you through the story of this project and this client so that you can kind of get an idea of how things roll and then how you could apply this in your own business. So, just as a reminder, on 12/5, I'm hosting a workshop called How to Close a 5-Figure Design Fee in 5 days. And I show you how you can do the same in your own business. So, if you want to attend this, go ahead and just click the sign up link that is in the show notes. So, as we get into this story where I tell you about this client that I signed, it was not all smooth sailing. And so I just want to let you know that, I've been doing this 30 years, but not everything was like, it wasn't just like this easy peasy process and it all magically happened and they couldn't, wait to give me a check. There was some things that happened. So we're going to dig into that a little bit. So the client contacted me via my website and was a referral from an existing client. So you've heard me talk about this before, but FYI, I don't have a budget line on my contact form for interior design projects. I don't like it. It's not how I like to qualify or disqualify a client because I don't think it's accurate because we don't know enough information. And a lot of times clients don't know what they don't know. So many clients have come to me and have not done a renovation in 20 years. So, they might be using numbers from their last renovation, which was 20 years ago. They just don't know. And also, I think that you should be diving in a little bit deeper to see how open someone is to changing their thinking on budgeting. And also, we need to find out like what's really going on, like what's the real problem that's happening. And you're going to hear all about that in this story. So, I would rather talk to a prospect and hear what they're saying. I would like to look at their body language and find out what the real issues are before I would disqualify somebody on budget alone. And this situation is a prime example of this. So I like to take the little pieces of information and stack them up to determine if a project is a good fit or not. It's not like an all or nothing for me. All these little pieces start to add up. All these little green checks start to add up and move me towards whether or not I want to be working with these clients, if I think the project is a good fit on multiple levels, What I call this in my own business is the client audition. And I teach you about the client audition in the Luxury Client Academy. And we do role plays with this. It's really, really fun. But the beauty of the client audition is that you are in the driver's seat. You are auditioning the clients. You are the producer, right? Or the stage manager or whatever it is in a play where you go and watch people audition. And that's what's happening here. It has to be a good fit for both of you. It has to be great on both sides. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You know how many details there are in projects. You know how long projects take. You know how much communication you have with clients on projects. We don't have time to be dealing with a lot of awful clients with no budgets on projects, right? It's just draining, it's exhausting. It's not how we move the business forward. It's not how we get to the next level. It's not how we have that energy to keep moving forward. So we have to be stacking these little, what I call green checks up as we go through these multiple step process to audition clients, basically. So, the first piece of information that intrigued me about this potential client was who referred them. And they had been referred by a previous client, like I mentioned earlier, but they were a great client. Super nice people, just really, really wonderful project. So, that was really exciting. And if you've ever heard me talk about qualifying clients, being nice is a huge factor for me, and there's a reason for that. I got myself into a situation several years ago with a client who was so incredibly difficult, so horrible, said horrible things to me where I literally did not sleep for 18 months. I was stressed, opening my email for fear that they may have sent me something. I didn't want to answer my phone in case they were calling me. I mean, it was literally so, so stressful. My stomach was in knots for months and months and months. And I just wanted to get through it. And that client had happened to be a lawyer. So I was also worried that for some reason they were going to find a way to sue me, even though, believe me, I did everything in my power. I went over, I did work for a year past our contract just to get through it and to just, get out whole, as I was saying, which I actually never did because it really made a huge impact on me. And I guess when you look back on it, it was a blessing in disguise because it made me change how I take projects, who I'll do work for. So long story short, that is the reason for me that being nice is a huge factor in qualifying a client for me. I can work with people with smaller budgets, but I cannot work with horrible people. So I would rather work with nice people moving forward and knock on wood, every client that I have currently is very, very nice, but I make that a big qualifying factor because it's really, really important to me. So since this referral came from a very, very nice client, a nice person, I'm assuming for the moment that this friend is also nice because they are friends. So, okay, first green check, right? Yay, green check. The second piece of information was where they were moving to, was the location. So, I have talked in the past that I like to do work within 30 minutes driving. I don't really take anything outside of that unless it's a client that, has to fly me somewhere. But generally, I've learned for me at this point in my career, going more than 30 minutes, not that interested. So the location was a huge factor. They were moving to a great location, a beautiful building, lots of great light, large space on the water, absolutely gorgeous. Um, Close to where my home office is. And also it's in a high rise, so it's a great opportunity for me to cultivate further referrals from this because people in high rises talk to each other. And the building managers are always asked for leads, and the realtors are always asked, who do you know? So this was a great opportunity all around. So here's my second green check. Everything's looking good. So they had contacted me on my website. I made contact with them right away, which happened to be within an hour. Here's a big tip for you guys. If you contact a lead within 1 hour, it increases your likelihood of closing that opportunity in a huge, huge way. You make such an impression by contacting people right away. So my internal process is contact that lead as fast as possible, but for sure within 1 to 4 hours. Now, I do want to say that doesn't mean that you have to have like an initial interview with them or talk to them about their project. It's merely being back in touch saying, I received your information and let's set up a time to make that call. That makes a huge impression and it will increase your closing rate like triple. It is huge, people. So please think about how fast you can respond to somebody that makes contact with you about an opportunity. So I did that phone interview with him, asking him obviously some basic questions about timing. And I like to let people talk. I don't run through a list of questions like they're going through an interrogation. Because again, I want this process to be very natural, very seamless, very enjoyable. And I know a lot of you have a bunch of questions that you want to ask, and there's a big list. And I'm more of like, I weave the questions in the conversation in a very natural way. So I was asking him, of course, about what his timing was. Just tell me about your project. I want to hear how he was describing this project to me. And all the time I'm listening for certain for what he's saying, for certain things related to budget. How many times did they, talk about, spending money or not spending money or making decisions or never being able to make decisions? How cordial was the conversation? How polite were they? How did they talk about their significant other? Was it in a nice way? Was it supportive? Was it sort of like, well, she's going to have her crazy ideas and I'll see if I want to go along with it. It's all very, very telling how they talk about their significant other. This kind of goes back to the nice factor and also how you're going to be treated moving forward. Also how well they knew the client who referred me. Like, is it a good friend or is it just an acquaintance? Did they just meet each other in the hallway and, or at a party where they really didn't know each other and somebody just gave the name and walked away and that was it? Where they're from. I just, kind of like to know a little bit about their background. And none of these pieces on their own add up to a good fit, but each one layers into the equation. So, we're stacking the Jenga pieces, we're stacking the green checks. So, have you ever been like in the hospital and the doctor will come in and ask the same questions like over and over every time they come in? And you're just like, you asked me this question. Like, why am I hearing this again? And there's a reason for that. And that's because the answers change each time the patient answers the question. Little by little, more details are given, more information is provided. That's why I have a 4-step process in qualifying a client as well, because over time, more information comes out and you learn more and more about them, how they are as a person, what's important to them, what level of detail they're going to require. That's like, these are things we want to know so that we can start to craft our service offering and the words we use about how we're going to help them. That's how we get them to move forward and really start to trust us, is by really, really listening. So if this isn't obvious, you can't qualify a potential client from a website form. Because what you're doing is you're making it too easy for them to say, no, basically, you're too expensive. I can't afford that. That's not for me. And you know why? It's because they haven't fallen in love with you yet. Let me say that again. Let them fall in love with you first. Dazzle them with your charm, your knowledge, your creativity. All of this is magic to someone who's not creative, who needs help, who's been trying to do this room or this space for years, who has spent money upon money only to find that what they picked doesn't work or doesn't fit or doesn't look good, right? So we have to let them have the opportunity to fall in love with you because that will also make them much more amenable to hiring you, to want to work with you, to do whatever it takes to move this forward. So, after I had this initial phone call with him, we set an on site meeting and we were going to go look at the new place. And then we were going to go visit his existing home because he wanted to talk about some pieces that he was thinking about bringing to the new home. So, the new home is a condo, it's $4.8 million. It is on the beach and it's all ready to go, ready to be decorated. So it's in perfect shape and it is absolutely stunning and the view is amazing. Overlooking the Gulf where you can literally see nothing but sunsets every day. It's incredible. So as we're walking through the new place, again, I'm sitting there listening. How are they speaking to one another? How are they talking to the realtor? How are they talking to the electrician? Are they being polite? Are they being demanding? Are they being rude? Are they being condescending? All of this is a real clue as to how this relationship will move forward. Are they becoming like a know it all, even though we know that they don't know anything about construction or design, but they just, put on a good, confident game face and was like, if I say it, it's true? Like, what are they saying? How are they talking? Um, or are they willing to talk through the options? Are they asking great questions? Are they letting the experts that are there with them, the realtor, the electrician, the designer, are they letting them chime in to provide solutions? And how are they receiving that information? So I encourage you to use your amazing power of deduction and body language and intuition to help you learn more about potential clients up front and start really noticing how they talk to people, what words they use. It's really going to help you qualifying them more and more. So far, so good as I'm, walking through the place with them. They're very nice to each other. They're very nice to everyone that comes in to help them. They asked great questions. They allowed the various experts that were there to give them answers and to solutions to all their questions that they had. So again, next green check. So what you see, we are adding up the green checks, right? It was who did they refer them to? Were they nice people? Are they going to the right, are they having in the right place? Are they in the right location for where I want to work? How are they treating each other? Green checks are flying everywhere. So then, after we looked at the new place, we went to look at the existing condo. Another beautiful building, also on the water. But as I walked in, it was like I walked into 1990. The style, the colors, overall look, it was pretty classic 1990. It was pretty dated. And he casually mentions to me, we would like to take as much of this as possible. Now, we were all thinking the same thing, right? We're like, what? Say what? So I think to myself, okay, this may require a bit more digging into. And I ask you, if this happened to you and you were in this situation with a client, would you be like, oh, hell no? Or would you be like, no, we can't do that? What would you say to that if you were in this situation? Would you walk away from the project? Would you listen? Would you dive right into why it wasn't going to work that they had these pieces. I'd just be curious for you to think about that for yourself. And over the years, in my seasoned time as a designer, I have learned to just sit tight and listen and let the information unfold, kind of like the doctor who asks the same questions over and over. I literally like to do so much listening because if there's any dead space in a conversation, people will naturally fill it. And when they do that, they're giving me lots of information, so much more than I would get if I was just asking them a million questions. So I'm letting this all unfold and I'm looking at all the items in the space. And as I'm listening and also learning, I have learned to not let my expression say what I'm thinking, which is say, what? What the hell? We can't do this. This is not going to work. But that skill has taken some time, and I'm not sure I'm fully over it, but I have done my very, very best. And one thing that I will say that people do say about me is that I'm very patient. And so I listen and I let them walk me around. And as we're walking through the house and we're talking and they're telling me more and more and more, the reason for the move has finally come to light because the distance between the existing place and the new place is only a few miles. I mean, it's maybe 5 miles, both on the water. Yes, granted, the new place is actually brand new, so recently finished in the last, say, few months, and the existing place is an older building, but both on the Gulf of Mexico, both beautiful views of the water, the sunset, all of that. And that's a pretty, expensive endeavor and, you know, a lot of upheaval to sell one place and move 5 miles down the road, right? So you got to wonder, like, what's going on here, right? And this all sort of came about just from listening and letting them talk. And I come to find out that this new place is a fresh start for him and his girlfriends. I come to find out that both of these people had been recently widowed within the last few years, and each of them had been married for 50 years. And they had both lost their spouses, which was devastating. And they weren't even looking for a new relationship. They had just through a series of events come in contact with one another and were discussing and had the commonality that they had both lost spouses after many, many years of marriage. And once they started talking about that with each other and kind of leaning on each other about that, they they fell in love and they decided to move in together. And it was such a lovely, sweet story to hear. And it was so incredibly important to know that information as we're moving forward on this journey together, right? Because as a designer, understanding why someone is moving into a new place and the reasonings of what's going on, what's really going on. Oh my gosh, that is like, it's gold. It was so incredibly helpful to have that information. And what a sweet love story. So I found out that the home I was touring, which had all the furniture in it, had been the home that this gentleman and his wife had shared for many, many years. And there was so many memories here. And you know how furniture can hold memories, right? That you can have a connection to someone in your world through pieces of furniture. I have a sofa in my own home office that was my aunt's, was my favorite aunt's. And it's a Thercogan sofa from 1962. That poor thing, it's seen its day. It's gone through a lot, but it holds so many wonderful memories for me as a kid that I have kept that piece in my office. And every time I look at it, every time I sit on it, I just go back to that time and that memory of spending time with her in her home. So we know pieces can have memories, they can hold ideas about family members, loved ones that we just don't always want to get rid of, right? Really, really hard. So as I was understanding that, I was realizing this is why he wants to keep so many of these pieces because so much of this represents his life with his wife, right? And it made me soften a lot on the reasoning, of course, that he wanted to keep this furniture. And as we're touring through the place, the girlfriend had to leave the meeting to go to an event. So I got a chance to talk with him one on one. And this is when he really opened up about how they met and what this new place would mean to them together. And he said, so incredibly important to hear. I want her to have some skin in the game in this new place. I want her to feel comfortable. I want her to feel like this is our place. Light bulb moment. Hello. This is it. This is it. So, you know how coaches are always talk about the pain points, talk about the pain points, talk about the pain points. And we're always like, I don't know what it is. I don't know exactly what that pain point is. That always seems to be elusive. How do I relate interior design to pain points other than you need to have a beautiful home that's put together that functions well? Well, here is an example. He wanted her to feel comfortable in this new home that they would be sharing together for the first time. It was a way for them to embark on the relationship in a new place, one that they created together. What a beautiful sentiment. And I am so excited to be able to help them create this, to start this journey together after they found each other through, a terrible, terrible loss. So, this is what you can do with your creative gift. Help people create spaces that represent a lot of different emotions. It could be a fresh start, it could be a way to incorporate a multi generational family, it could be to create a space that helps them de stress from a really stressful job. Um, it could be observing the deeper meaning for why someone is talking to you about a project. You being able to do that is invaluable. And also, I know as designers, we love when we have these deep meaning spaces. We love it because we are helpers and we want to help them create the most amazing, immersive space that can heal them, that can help them, that can de-stress them. We want to do that. And finding these types of things out and writing down what clients are telling you over and over again is how you start to get to this. So from that point on in the meeting, I was constantly reminding him of what he wanted to accomplish and why he wanted to do that and what this new space was going to represent to the both of them. And then how I could help him with that, how I could help move them forward to create this new space together. And that's when I told him, I understand why you want to keep so many pieces. I get that they all have sentimental value. But I also think you hire me to give you my best advice, what I recommend, so that we can ultimately create this unique space that represents the both of you. And of course, the decisions are ultimately yours. but I feel it's my responsibility to be open and honest with you on what I think is a professional. That's why you hire me. From there, we can work through the solution that you are most comfortable with. Now, by the end of the meeting, we were taking only like one or two pieces because he saw the reasoning, he understood the approach, and he realized that this was going to get him to his goal. So, do you see the difference between that and just qualifying or disqualifying a prospect by one or two sentences or by a budget number? Huge difference. The other thing is that he saw I was listening and taking into consideration his feelings, all the factors that were involved, and I had created a level of trust there in a very short period of time, and that I was really thinking about his best interests at heart. And I know all of you are innately doing this with your clients, but we need to be bringing that more to the surface, and we need to be reminding them of what it is that they're ultimately looking for and why they're looking to get help at this time. And I know that this is what you're doing every day in your business. We just have to bring it forward more. So we've got to let them fall in love with you, and they will. And they will. And when they do, it's so much easier to get them to award you the project. So listen to what they're saying their issues are, and then tailor your services, how you're talking about your services to specifically solve that problem, and remind them of that over and over and over again in those meetings, in those emails, everything. Keep bringing them back to why they started this conversation with you, why they need a professional, how you're going to help them get to whatever that real issue is that they're having. So after that meeting, I got them a design proposal within 2 days. I'm going to tell you guys, that's the most amount of time I will take to get someone a design proposal. And huge saying in my business is money loves speed. Get them that information as quickly as possible. Start templating your proposals so that you can make them super easy. So I got them that design proposal within just a few days. He signed it the next day, and boom, 5 days from start to finish, a 5-figure design fee. And we are looking at a 6-figure furniture order. Boom, 5 days. That is good stuff. But I qualified him over several conversations and let those dominoes fall, created a lot of trust in multiple ways. And again, this is what we do in the Luxury Client Academy, is help you navigate all of this, figure this out, apply it to your own business. So it's time for you to learn how to get great opportunities that practically close themselves. And this is what we do. This is what we do in the Luxury Client Academy. You and I work together to create that clarity and a plan around these types of luxury clients and luxury projects that you want, so that you can start tripling your profits in the next 9 months and get to that point where you're closing 5-figure design fees in 5 days. So the 5-figure design fees in 5 days workshop is December 5th. I can't believe I did that 555, but that's great. 555. 5 figures, 5 days, 12/5. And you can sign up so that I can give you the Zoom link. So sign up with the link in the show notes. And I'll also be talking about the Luxury Client Academy in that workshop at the end of that workshop. So if you've been curious to learn more about that, this is a great opportunity for you to ask some questions and get any additional details that you want to do with that. If you want to kind of dive a little bit more on your own into the Luxury Client Academy, check out the following episodes: 66, 67, and episodes 70 to 72. I go into so many details about the Luxury Client Academy, what you can expect, how it's structured, all of that. And don't forget, one of the most talked about parts of that academy is the Naples experience, which we do an in-person event here in Naples where we tour multi-million-dollar homes. It's so much fun to be in these incredible homes with other creatives, and it's really so inspirational, and it's such a creative, juicy time because we just love hanging out with each other. So Um, I hope that hearing more about how to get clients to sign quickly has inspired you to know that it's absolutely possible for you to do this in your own business too. It's just about getting those steps in the process. And if you want help doing that, I would be honored to help you with that. I would love to work with you. Just check out all the show notes for any information that you need. And if you need to get in touch with me as well, thank you so much for listening. And I hope to see you at the workshop on 12/5. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.